Well, hello, my jazzy friends. I hope you're doing well, I hope you're staying safe, and it's lovely to see you as always. Today's video is not a Sims video, as you've probably gauged already, but anyway, my channel does occasionally dip its feet into some other things that I like, and my other major love in life than Sims is Dragon Age. I have done a few videos on the channel previously, talking a little bit about the lore and the companions in the series, but today's video is honestly just a bit more rambly, like just more opinion based, and me just talking about some of the things that I would really love to see in the next installment of the series, and some of the things that I would definitely not like to see. So first up on my wants list. I'm starting simple, I feel, but like super crucial in my opinion. All three games so far have had some of the most beautiful, emotive soundtracks for games ever. Like no other game soundtrack has ever got me in my little heart quite like the soundtracks for Dragon Age 2. I think out of the three, the soundtrack for 2 was probably the most forgettable, but nonetheless, I think it was still great. I seriously hope the Dragon Age 4 has just an equally haunting, beautiful, and epic score. It's a staple of the series at this point. The next thing I'm absolutely dying for is for more fantastic companions, and within that, lots of romance options. More romance options than we've ever had before, preferably. When you have conversations about the games with someone, like for the first time, I feel like one of the first questions that you'll ask each other is like, oh, you play Dragon Age? Like, oh, who did you romance? Like, it's just a staple question, right? And that's how you know it's a pretty important thing to a lot of players, myself included. Companions and romances are, again, just so crucial to the franchise at this point. And sometimes they haven't been so great, and sometimes they've been absolutely amazing and really well written. But for 4, I want more companions whose like little personal quests and lives and stories are things that I care about just as much as I care about the protagonist. I want depth to them and backstories and lore and just interesting things. I want to be, I don't know, just absolutely immersed and fall in love with them like I have with some of the previous companions. I'm going to take this opportunity to bring up our little eggy friend. Like, love him or hate him, everyone I know who played Inquisition had such a strong feeling towards Solus. Because he just was so fleshed out, he had really strong feelings and opinions, and as a character he was just so interesting, whether you disliked him or not. Dorian was a great companion as well, obviously Varric is an eternal favourite, but I'm really hoping for DA4 that there's a lot of old companions that we loved, and also some new faces who bring something interesting to the table too. And within this kind of umbrella of things, I want more dialogue options. I feel like I exhausted the dialogue with my companions and my romantic options in the previous games far too quickly. Another thing kind of in the same topic is bringing back the ability to give gifts to your party members. Okay, I know this was tossed out a little bit kind of after Origins, and it was in Dragon Age 2 a little bit as well, but not quite the same. But it was tossed out because it brought up relationships too quickly, and the system that they introduced in Inquisition was because it was a little bit, you know, it's meant to be more authentic to like real life and real relationships and real approval and stuff like that. But I miss the interactions and reactions and stuff that people would have when you gave them gifts that were really like precious or significant to them, like the mirror with Morrigan, or Alistair's mother's amulet, or Duncan's shield, and stuff like that. Maybe they don't have to be tied to an approval system or a like system. Like, I wouldn't even care if the friendship didn't go up at all from those interactions. But those are moments that I just missed so much in Inquisition, and I would like to see them back. I just miss the reactions from companions when you gave them something really meaningful to them. This next one is a little bit of an unpopular opinion, I think, but I don't want the journey with the Inquisitor to cease to exist entirely. In the most recent trailer that we saw, I will link my little reaction thing, because I did a video about this previously, but it was stated that there would be a new protagonist. And I'm not gonna lie, my heart hurt a little bit at the thought of this. I don't feel necessarily like the story with the Inquisitor is finished. It still feels very incomplete to me, but I can probably get behind a new protagonist, even if it makes me a little bit sad to see. But I would find it much harder to get over if there was no kind of nod or mention or appearance from the Inquisitor in the new game at all. I need to have some kind of thing that ties it all up, all the loose ends, and some of the previous companions from Dragon Age Inquisition's stories as well. Again, Solus, I'm looking at you. I need closure, and I really hope Dragon Age 4 doesn't just kind of brush this all under the carpet. Something else that I want them to bring back is the option of slightly different origin stories. In Origins, the very first game of the franchise, there were of course the 6 different openings. that gave you the option of 6 different origin stories, and then they all kind of ended up merging at the point where you got recruited and you travel to Ostagar with Duncan. I would really love to have that variety again, with backstories and where you came from to start off with. I miss having that kind of individuality and the choice of where you began. It was okay in Inquisition, like definitely lacking a lot in Dragon Age 2, let's not even talk about that. It was okay in Inquisition, but it was kind of just a little thing that you read saying, oh, you're so-and-so and you belong to a Dalish clan and you ended up here because, like, I don't know, reading a little paragraph about your life just doesn't give you the same feeling as playing through it does. It's fine, but it's just a little bit lifeless. I'm glad Inquisition went back to giving you choices about your race. So again, I definitely do want those race choices in Dragon Age 4 as well. Elf, dwarf, human, Qunari, etc. I think Dragon Age 2 excluding those as options was definitely not a good choice. But yes, bring back origin stories. It just gives a different layer to the characters and also just that layer of replayability that I like a lot. Next up, I really want to see more consequences to choices that really matter. Sometimes in previous games, even if I had choices, it felt like the things that I chose didn't end up really mattering when, at the time of choosing, they felt very important. So, for example, in Inquisition, when you're like, oh, I can banish the Grey Wardens or I can get them to Skyhold, it felt really significant at the time. But I can't say that afterwards I noticed any effects to my choices one way or the other. And then with Dragon Age 2, I felt like nothing I did mattered at all. Like the whole way through the game, the story was just already being told, so I felt like I was just kind of being pushed into a direction to fulfill that story. I don't really have choices, it kind of just steered me down a path and gave me the illusion of choice. Except for perhaps right at the end with the Mages and Templars, but even then everything turned out the same with Meredith anyway. I don't want the illusion of choice. I want my choices to really be something that is important and alters the game based on the things that I decide to do. I want to see lasting consequences to things that I make happen. If I banish someone, I want disagreeing companions to argue with me for like a long time and hold grudges. I want to receive letters from the banished groups, like begging for forgiveness. Or if they end up being recruited, I want to see the use in that. Like I want to see them around my like stronghold or camp or whatever, and get some kind of benefit from making that choice. Either side of the coin, I want to see continuous effects of the things that I decide in my game. Within this, I also want a lot more tough decisions, like the choice in Inquisition with sacrificing like Hawk or the Warden in the Nightmare ripped my heart out. Like maybe I'm a sadist, but I loved it for that because I actually cared about what I chose. I want more decisions that I'm invested in and really care about those outcomes. And if it comes in the form of like tough, heartbreaking choices, then I am all for it. This next one is kind of silly, but something that I want anyway. Like, I wouldn't be like, oh no, they didn't put it in, my experience is completely ruined, but I would like to see being able to swim in the game. I didn't particularly like in Inquisition that I would wander into the water and like kind of drown, but then be plonked back onto the grass to safety. It was kind of weird, I don't know. I want to be able to swim in the game. I would just enjoy it a lot instead of constantly kind of having to assess like, okay, how do I walk around this body of water that I can't swim to get somewhere? The next thing I want, and I'm sure this is going to be unpopular as well, but I want to make sure that all the lore is meaningful. One of the reasons that I fell in love with Dragon Age was that there was just so much to it. There's so much information about history and gods and the Chantry and religion and companion backstories and lore about like buildings and cities and locations. If you read it all, I feel like you'd be there for quite a while, and this might be unpopular, but I don't want bits of lore or like codex entries that are just scraps of paper like verse 2 of the Song of so-and-so. I'm not interested. Like I'm not interested in those things. I just want the little things that you find around the world that contain lore to be really meaningful and relevant to the things that are going on in the events of the game at that time. And maybe there could be some kind of workaround for people who are interested in all those random bits, where maybe there could be like a library at your camp or your castle or whatever you end up in Dragon Age 4, and there could be some kind of clickable, interactable option or something where your character could choose to research or read in the library, and then you could pick and select like extra bits of codex and lore that you're interested in. I don't know, I don't know. But for me personally, I know that I'm not interested in finding like chapters of books and stuff. Like I just want each piece of lore that's like findable or collectible to be very, very relevant to current events. Another thing I want to keep is the zoned off kind of world system. I don't want it to move into an open world. I think that can be a little bit overwhelming. But yeah, I like having those vast areas and there's lots of areas to cover, but it's not completely open world. So I always have a complete sense of where I am. In the same kind of topic, talking about location, I also really want to see in Dragon Age 4 more places in Thedas. I would love to see Tevinter, I would love to be able to go back to Orlais again, I obviously still want Ferelden. I want to see Saharan or Parvolan or Navara. I just love Dragon Age, and I want to be able to feel like I have a deeper understanding of all the places in the world when my companions kind of talk about them. So I would love to see them. And lastly, for things that I really, 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 really want is far better character customization than we've ever seen previously. I definitely want more skin tones to choose from, most importantly, and also it would be great to have more hair options, and like mostly within those realistic looking hair, and just generally more varieties with hairs and eyebrows and stuff like that. The sliders are great, the customization just needs a little bit of tweaking in a couple of places. Moving on now though to things that I would like not to ever see again. Okay, here's a very, very passionate one for me. I hated the power system in Inquisition. The power system. Okay, here's my dirty confession. I love Dragon Age with my whole heart, like I'm obsessed. But when I first played Inquisition, I put it down after about 10 hours and just gave up on it. I was like, nah, I'm not playing it. Needless to say, obviously I went back to it and I started fresh and I gave it another chance and I fell in love with it as well. But the power system drove me completely mad. I liked that it gave you suggested levels for like certain quests and stuff, so you wouldn't go into them as like a level 7 when it told you, oh, you need to be a 15 or whatever. That's fine, I don't mind that. It's good to be informed ahead of time if you're trying to do a quest that you're not absolutely ready for. I don't have problems with that. If I am underleveled, then I could just go and wander around areas and do random fights and level up how I choose to. I do not want to have to go and do petty fetch quests that feel a little bit ridiculous, kind of, considering the way there's way more important things going on my to-do list. You know what I mean? Like, if you look at your quests and one of them is like, close the breach in the sky that's pouring out demons and killing people, oh my god, it's a disaster. And the other is like, find the Druffalo. I'm just a bit like, this is nonsense. Like, I don't like it. I don't mind some side quests. In fact, I like side quests a great deal. I appreciate the additional content from main quest. Like, I'm never going to argue with having more cool and interesting things to do. But when the quests are like really, really meaningless and utterly inconsequential, I'm not interested. Add on to that the fact that you need to do them so you can progress and have enough power to do main quest, and it just pissed me off. Scrap the power system, keep suggested levels, give meaningful and interesting side quest content. The next thing, and I'm sure I'm going to be disappointed because it will probably happen, but I don't want Dragon Age 4 to be an online experience in any way, shape or form. I have zero interest in it moving into that space. The multiplayer aspect of Inquisition was poor. I tried it once just to say I had, and honestly, I wish I hadn't. I don't want Dragon Age to be an online thing at all. One of the reasons that I love Dragon Age so much is because it's so immersive and I open the game and I absolutely escape. Online games can sometimes be toxic, or if I'm relying on friends to play with at the same time as me for a better experience, like that could suck as well. I don't know. I don't know how it would work, but however it's planned, I don't want it. I love Dragon Age because it's something that I get to do on my own and experience for myself. I get to be like a little ball of emotion all on my own without anyone getting to watch me dorky sob because Solus dumped me, and that's how I want it to stay. I don't want to share those moments with anyone else. I want them to be mine. I want it to be my time to myself to enjoy the game. No online, thank you kindly. Another thing, and I don't know how people feel about this, but this is just my 2 cents. Just at this point, throw the whole war table out the window. I didn't like it. I didn't read the little things they said when they'd finished, like, oh, collecting coins from such. I don't care. I never noticed the rewards or the outcomes. It was just a bit pointless to me. It's fine going into like the war room and the war table when we were in there discussing how to move on to the main quest stuff. So if it just remained for that purpose, fine, no problems. But to assign little like fiddly quests to like Cullen, Leliana and Josephine and stuff, I'm not interested. Okay, next up, pretty crucial in my opinion, I don't want main plot stuff to exist in DLC. DLC is meant to be cool, like fun, additional stuff to do if you like doing all the extra stuff in a game. But I feel like the Trespasser DLC was basically an extension of the main storyline of Inquisition, and I don't like that. I don't want people to have to pay extra for crucial main plot information. If there's a story to be had, it should be had in the main game, and I will absolutely die on this hill. Like, don't make people pay extra for a storyline that should have been in the main game. Full stop. DLC, make it fun and interesting to play through, but not crucial in terms of story content. Overall, though, I really, really have everything crossed for Dragon Age 4. I'm just desperate for it to succeed and do really well and be received well. I love the game so much. I've heard a lot of people talking about how they're really concerned about the franchise's future and the kind of direction it's going to be heading in future. A lot of people are concerned that it will basically be Anthem with dragons. And I'm just praying and crossing my fingers and toes that we don't get that kind of experience. I really want Dragon Age 4, whatever it ends up being like, whether they ignore my list completely or not, to be a success and just to absolutely retain like the magic of the series. I hope it's really immersive with wonderful characters and a great story and is aesthetically pleasing and just all round is just good, you know? Anyway, that is my rambling for today. If you're a Dragon Age fan, I would love to hear like your hopes and your wishes for the next game. Whether they're realistic, unrealistic, big or small, completely the opposite of mine, that's totally fine. I would love to hear them. But that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I post pretty regularly, and I will see you next time.